What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Hoop Show, minus a bit of Geelong Football Club action this time around. But my name is Ben Reeve, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, as always, Mr. Paul James. Paul, welcome, and how have you enjoyed week one of the finals without the Mighty Catters?
I don't know what to do, to be honest. What is September without the Cats playing finals? I'm in a state of confusion. I'm genuinely confused. But it's been entertaining so far. I'll say that. It's been genuinely entertaining so far. A fantastic first round of finals.
I've been walking up and down the streets with my hand in my pockets looking forlorn. I just don't know what to do. I feel like sitting on a park bench at the end of a pier. I'm really lost at the moment, Paul. I just don't know what to do with my life.
Bit of Green Day's Boulevard of Broken Dreams. We don't know what's going on. Perpetual sadness.
Something like that. But if you are watching us, thank you very much for joining in. Let's have a look at some of the games that were played over the weekend. Starting with the Thursday night game, we had the Pies get the job done just against a bit of a wayward Melbourne Demons there. We had the Carlton Blues coming 10 years apparently, Paul. Did you hear that on the commentary? 10 years since they last played in the final.
Never heard anything about it.
No, didn't hear it once.
No noise about the Blues whatsoever. And none to come, I'm sure.
None to come. 6 points over the Swannies. On the Saturday afternoon, the twilight game, the Saints, no good. The Giants were too good for the Saints, who don't look like they're ready for September just yet. And on the last game, Brisbane looking the goods up at the Gabba, having lost all year round, beat the Port Adelaide Power by 48 points or something like that. So I enjoyed it, Paul. I enjoyed every game really, except probably for the Saints GWS game. I just really didn't. I'll get to that in a second, but I really didn't.
There was so much to like about that game. The memes, the internet is going wild, and I'm all about it.
Mate, look, take us through the first game of the round, the Thursday night game, the Collingwood versus Melbourne game.
Yeah, I guess it kind of lived up to a lot of the expectations, really. There was obviously a lot of noise about 1v4 and some of the history between the two teams, of course. And for the most part, met all of it. So as we can see, 9-6-60 to 7-11-53. The D's had their chances and just couldn't get the job done at the end of the day. But that's not without some decent contributions as well. So Bailey Fritsch kicking 2. Cozzy really obviously had his opportunities there with 1 goal 3, and Tom McDonald with the singular goal himself for the Pies, the victors in the end. Bobby Hill with an exceptional game. Massive credit to him. It was a fantastic performance all around the ground, not just in front of the sticks, but also in terms of some playmaking as well. 3 goals, 1 for himself. Dan McStay with the 2, and Brody Mychek pretty well held with the 1 goal 1 there. But I guess everything counts when it's a low scorer like it was in the end. Disposals, not necessarily anything to write home about specifically when it comes to the Pies. Very much the team effort style commentary there, but 23 to Crisp, 22 to Sidebottom, and 21 to Tom Mitchell, the great flopper, off the back of some efforts during that game. Whilst for the Ds, carried pretty heavily by their big 3, Clayton Oliver with 31, Petrarca with 29, and Maxi Gawn, 27. As the ruckman, which is a pretty exceptional effort. He did a lot of heavy lifting and did a fantastic job.
He's fantastic. Max Gawn, probably one of the best performances in a losing final for quite some time. I thought he was terrific. Darcy Moore came back. He was pretty good.
Back from a hamstring and looked pretty solid. But I don't think he necessarily shot the lights out, but he did what he needed to. The D's forward line is not necessarily the most potent in the world, which perhaps gave him an advantage, I guess, and an ability to ease his way in a smidge. You don't ease yourself into finals, but it's not the most grueling of encounters first up when it comes to the D's offense. Obviously, there's that was all underpinned by the sad news of Jakey Melksham doing his knee and being out for 12 months.
Yeah.
But then on the Pies side, there was a bit of noise and controversy as well, with John Noble being dropped before the game there. Well, not before the game, but in the days leading up to the game. And a great credit to the team, doing an amazing job getting around him there. But it was, I guess the backdrop was that the D's had gotten up by 4 points last time that the two teams had played. And I guess ultimately that's not how things finished in the end. It was a bit of a seesawing game at different stages, a really interesting one. But yeah, I don't know. What did you make of the final result before we get into a breakdown?
Before you get into it too much, I thought Collingwood were the better team on the night. As much as Melbourne would probably say they had their opportunities to win it, I just thought Collingwood looked a lot more polished, looked a lot more organised, and we're playing finals type footy. So for me, I would have given a big tick to the Pies, and I think if anything, they probably just let Melbourne back in it late, and maybe just thought they had it win, and that's what finals can do to you. You lose your head a little bit there, and it's sometimes.
And suddenly Gary Rowan's taking mark of the year on you and kicking winning goals from 50. It's
exactly
it's a beautiful thing.
Take us through the first quarter, though, mate. Take us through the first quarter.
All that anyone cares about from the first term is obviously the Brayshaw Maynard incident. And I guess we can probably wade into that pretty quickly. Is he going to get weeks? What's going to happen? Because it's been referred directly. It's a very strange one because it seems like there's been some pulling of rank going on, and it skips straight around the MRO and forwarded straight on to the tribunal. So it's certainly a fascinating backdrop for that. But what do you think is going to be the net result after inevitably an appeal as well?
Yeah, short answer is I think he'll get weeks. If you talk to someone like Swoop, Luke, he'll probably say, let him off. But all Collingwood supporters will say that. It's a tough one. I'd feel bad for him if he missed it because it's one of those borderline ones, but I think he's going to miss, sadly.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think he absolutely was endeavouring to do the right thing. He tried to smother the ball. He was stuck in midair. Not a lot that he could do, but because he did turn, and the AFL's kind of current trend, which is focus on the outcome as opposed to the act, he kind of has to go, right?
Looks like it. Yeah.
But we'll wait and see in that regard. And obviously, you'd think probably 2 games, and maybe in that case, it might have been the worst possible thing for the Pies to go on to lose because there's no way you can get back if that ends up being the case. So we'll wait and see. But the Pies leading by 20 points at quarter time. It did prompt a brawl. Jack Viney got involved, as I guess would surprise absolutely no one. Doesn't mind swinging arms, despite the fact that he's reaching an extra foot compared to everyone else just to get in the contest. So good luck to him, I suppose. The D's did start to come back from there, and as you kind of touched on, the Pies gave them an opportunity over the course of those remaining 3 quarters, and they nearly took it. Cozzy lifted them, though he couldn't put the score on the board himself. They were chipping away at a little bit. 17 points by halftime. The Pies then blew them out again in the third. And I guess all credit to the Pies. It's that final sort of circumstance. You don't expect any of your opposition to just throw in the towel. They're going to keep coming. And the D's did. The Pies responded, pushed the lead out to 25 points. But then, that final term got really interesting. An atrocious shot on goal from, I think it was Bailey Fritsch, wasn't
it? Yeah, it was terrible.
Could not have hit a barn door if he tried with that shot. So, pretty disappointing in that respect. Not only, I guess, for Melbourne supporters, but I think for all of us, because it would have made a real spectacle if it was 1 point with a minute or 2 up our sleeves. It would have really made things interesting, but not to be. And the final result being a Pies win and a home prelim.
Yeah, and I'll probably just add Jacob Van Ruyen, whatever his name is. I think he got off at a week, didn't he? Or was it week? 1 week or 2?
Ruin.
Sniper Van Ruyen, yeah. So he's going to miss the semi-final. We'll see. Who knows what happens with appeals and all that sort of stuff. I don't know where they're at the moment with accepting all that sort of stuff. But
based on recent legal stuff with the AFL, it'll take 2 weeks before they finally get him in to have a chat in the first place.
Possibly. What are your takeaways from the game, though? I think we know Angus Brayshaw is going to miss, but possibly even miss the prelim if they make it that far as well.
Yeah, it felt horrible for him. Obviously, he's got a history with concussion. It goes back a fair way. He'd had a kind of squeaky clean couple of years, but it sounds like he was pretty devastated by the whole thing, and understandably so. And obviously, we've discussed plenty of times when it comes to the likes of Collar, for example, for the Cats, that concussion is a big concern. And players who have got recurring concussions, the concerns are even greater. So you don't want it to happen to anyone, regardless of the time, finals or not. So hopefully he recovers well. If the D's can go all the way, potentially, then I guess good luck to him. Hopefully he's back for a grand final if that's how things work out. But I certainly don't see him. I mean, he's obviously not going to play next week due to protocols, but I can't imagine the week after, and then they've just got to cross their fingers and hope if they can make it at that point.
Fingers crossed for him, I suppose.
You can pile some votes. You can pile some votes. Your votes.
My votes.
You've done all the legwork on this. But Big Maxi Golden got the three votes, and as we touched on, one of the best games from a losing player in quite some time. 27 disposals and a million hit-outs and all the things that Maxi Gorn does. Still side bottom with the 2, and Christian Petrarca with the 1 vote there.
Yeah, I gave him the one vote because he didn't really get into the game early. He just didn't know what he was doing. I think they had a nice tag on him, but he came good in the end. He absolutely was trying to tear the game apart in those last couple of quarters there. He was fantastic. So I couldn't give him any more than that. But anyway, so it looks like a big semi-final Friday night. I think it is the semi-final. Yeah,
Baggers, Friday night,
which is our next game. But yeah, Friday night game. Another 90,000 maybe at that one, maybe more. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the way the Carlton supporters are going at the moment, you can't rule out the possibility that it's just completely maxed out.
I think the Pies are playing the winner of Port GWS as well, so we'll see how that goes. That'll be at the MCG probably on the Friday night in a fortnight, I'd say. I think that's probably when it'll be.
But yeah.
All right, let's get on with that out of the way. Let's get on to the next game, and how do we go here? So we've got Carlton defeating the Sydney Swans by 6 points. Really close affair. Carlton fans are up and about. Bobby Hill, 3 goals, 1. Looked very lively. Got him off to a very nice start there.
Your graphics, kick that one away. You got all the you got all the Collingwood and Melbourne stats still on the screen.
I've got the wrong ones. Anyway, I'll
give you some legit stats in the meantime, but go for it. I was wondering. Bring in our guest.
How long? I'll bring in the guest now. That's perfect opportunity, Paul. So now this man is an absolute legend of the YouTube world, and he's a massive blues man. We love him. I think everybody loves him. Really, his name is Pommy. Welcome to the show, Pommy. Tell me all about it. There's a bit of destiny around Carlton at the moment.
You can't fight destiny either. But first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Big fans of yours as well. Another lifetime, I was a Geelong fan. So when I first came over here, my boss enforced me to be a Geelong man, even though I didn't like football. But Carlton got me in the end.
I guess, what was it about the Blues that swung you in the end?
Marriage.
Oh, okay, I guess that checks out, right?
If a Pom's marrying into the house, I had to be a blue one. So there you are.
That's fair.
So how are you feeling, Pom? Are you up and about? Are you coming down a little bit? Because you probably the last couple of days have been pretty full on. Where are you right now, and what are your thoughts and feelings like going into next week?
I'm still as high as a kite. I'll be honest. I feel like I'm at a Bob Marley wedding, so I'm quite high. I'm enjoying it though. I mean, I don't feel nerves. I'm going into this Melbourne game with full respect to them. They've been here and they've done it, but we always traditionally match up well with the Demons.
You do,
and I think contested football versus contested football, and all due respect to Melbourne, I think we're the best contested side on the planet. So I think we'll be really up for this one.
No, that's
being very respectful to Melbourne. I heard you on the fan cams, and you would like to, you were a bit more up and about. But that's what happens after the game. Your energy levels are right up there, and you're feeling very confident and primed. Sorry, Paul, I might have cut you off. You had a question.
No, you're right. But I mean, there's definitely something to that. They are vulnerable. We've just discussed their game, obviously, and they're going to be without Gus. They're going to be without Van Rooyen. Their forward line is nothing to write home about. Obviously, the defense is sensational, and that's going to be a challenge for Charlie, and potentially, I mean, you're probably not going to have Harry. No, it was concussion protocol, wasn't it? So he's probably out. Harry. So, I guess that kind of squares things a little bit. But there's certainly a great opportunity here. I think if there's a time to get him in finals, it's right now. So, I guess good luck to the Blues in that instance.
I think you're right. I think we'll take kind of watching the Collingwood game. Collingwood just pressured them, and that noise, I always say this, the noise I thought has affected Melbourne a lot. The Collingwood fans, we know what they're like. They're mental. They're head cases. And that noise in that, particularly that fourth quarter, kind of willed them shots, and they're going to get the same from Carlton. Carlton fans are equally as mental as the Pies fans as well. So it's going to be a real home game, because as you know, Melbourne only have Caden McDonald and whoever he invites to his seats as fans. So it's going to be 92,908
versus Kados
and Caden and his mates and Marmalade there. So we should be all right.
and a cheese board or two. Mate, if you guys end up playing Collingwood in the grand final, how are you going to handle that? And what's that week going to be like? I am actually predicting Carlton Collingwood grand final.
There's a sound clip going round 12 where I said, don't sleep on the Blues when I was on SEN. And I was like, whoever beats Collingwood versus Carlton will win the flag. And that's where the hype started. So that was when we were rubbish at that point as well. I think Collingwood Carlton, I think if you're a neutral, you guys are neutrals in this, you want that final. That's the final. I think everyone wants the granny, Carlton Collingwood. I'd imagine. I know everyone hates both of us, but that's the one I'd want to watch if I didn't support either side.
Yeah, certainly for the spectacle, there's nothing bigger at this point. So both teams are hungry, different reasons, but both teams are unbelievably hungry, and the supporter base is ravenous. So, I can't really think of a bigger pairing at the moment.
If you win it, it's going to be the best feeling ever, especially because of your opponent. But if you lose it,
you're not going to like it.
You are never going to hear the end of it. Oh, mate.
I do find it hard to hate. I have a good relationship with most Collingwood fans. For some reason, they like me, which I'm not too sure why. It's St Kilda fans that don't like me, which I don't know why, because I'm married to one. So it's going to be an interesting one. But I have a lot of Collingwood mates, so if Carlton play Collingwood in the final, I better win it, because there'll be a lot of people being blocked. I can tell you that.
For you. Yeah.
Well, Paul's dog hates Carlton's supporters, so that's you might have heard the dog in the background there. So, Pommy, thank you heaps for coming on the show, and sincerely, all the best to the Blues next week. I hope they go well. You've suffered long enough. Melbourne got their premiership a couple of years ago, so they can bugger off again. All the best, mate, and again, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. Much love, guys. Love what you do, and good luck next year. Hope to see you back where you belong.
We'll be back, mate. Don't
Fingers
worry
crossed.
Take it easy, Pom.
See you, mate. Good luck.
Blues. They're going to go okay, I reckon. So look,
and to cover off on some of those stats from before, so I brought everything up off the back of your little technical hiccup there. So it was a I guess in terms of the goal output, it was a pretty even performance on both sides. You had Luke Parker, Logan McDonald, and Errol Goulden both with 2 each for the Swans. Jack Martin, Matty Cottrell with 2 apiece for the Blues. But beyond that, it was a lot of singles, a very, very much a team effort on both sides of the ledger there. But obviously some amazing goals along the way. I think about, Charlie Curno's dribbler early in the piece. I think about Paddy Cripps and I won't repeat what he clearly said afterwards for fear of upsetting our junior audience. But there was lots of amazing moments along the way on the disposal front. Sam Walsh just accumulating as he always does, 29, Jake Lloyd, 27. And it's just a sea of blue from there with Blake Acres arguably best on ground, George Hewitt 25 with 26 and George Hewitt 25, Chera 24, Sard 23, Newman 23. Another block of Swans there in the low 20s as well, but it was just this sea of blue in a lot of ways. So massive congratulations to the Blues who got the job done.
Yeah, Harry, as I think we said, Harry McKay is going to miss, unfortunately, and he's making a habit of missing anyway. A couple of shots from 10 metres out, or 5 metres out, he couldn't kick. So I think the Blues will go a lot better. Sincerely, though, I hope he's okay, but I'm just going to have a little dig at him.
They might have a better shot on goal, though, next week.
They might have a better shot on goal. Jack Martin, he's out for, I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks suspension at the moment.
So we'll see what happens if he challenges that.
They'll challenge that.
Yeah, possibly. Did you see the Matt Owies one where he's running into goal and he's like, I'm going to try and be
handball to Charlie.
2 metres out, I'm going to handball. Like, what are you doing, mate? And then the ARC had to get involved and all that sort of stuff. It was just nuts. I don't know what was going on there.
Look, Vossi had a good old laugh about it afterwards. So I guess
crazy.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, so look, there was one of these. There's a few games this weekend where the team that was inaccurate cost themselves, and just goes to show you, like, mate, you can be the finish top of the table, which and Collingwood did get the win, but look, Collingwood could have kicked inaccurately, and all of a sudden they're facing an interstate prelim, and season 23 is over and done just like that. It goes. You just got to kick these goals. You can have the best forwards in the comp, but if you're not kicking straight, if you have a bad day, it's game over. It's curtains.
Yeah. And look, the Blues nearly blew it. To be fair, like they had a 29-point lead at halftime, but that was whittled down to 15, and then 6 is the final margin. So, a bit like the Pies, they nearly coughed it up. So, Every
nearly
team is
did.
gettable, I think, is the message here. Like, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who your opponent is, every team is gettable. Unless, of course, you're St Kilda, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do my votes. I gave the one vote to Blake Acres, just all heart and soul, really.
Yep.
He had one arm at one stage. You could tell he was in a war zone, that bloke. He was just going hard at it. Sam Walsh, just an accumulator, just doing all that stuff. Not the flashy stuff, far from it, but just doing all the stuff you need from a bloke like that. And he's just so happy. They're so happy. They're so glad to get him back in that squad. He's going to make a big difference. But the man of the night, another best
Future Cat
performance. Future Cat, Errol Goulden, another player from a team that didn't win on the night. It was absolutely terrific, an absolute star, and has been pretty much since the preseason, really, where I think he got nearly 50 touches in a game or something like that in the preseason.
Something absurd.
An absolute freak of nature. All right, we'll wrap that one up. On to the next game, and I'll throw back to you for this one. I believe this is the fun one. Now, did you want to? Oh, I'll bring up the graphic first.
Yeah, let's go through some of the stats before we do anything else. And so they're correct this time. And so the Saints 11-11-77 lost to the GWS Giants 15-11-101. Max King did his job with 3 goals, 1 there. Brad Hill 2 goals, 1. Cooper Sharman 2 goals, 1, and then it was just nothing from there when it came to the Saints. Obviously on the disposal front, carried by Jack Steele and Rowan Marshall in particular. Another amazing ruckman performance. We obviously touched on Maxi Gawn. Rowan Marshall just as good. Perhaps has the argument, you could make the argument played an even better game than Maxi Gawn. But 31 disposals to Marshall to go alongside all of the hitouts in a fantastic ruck contest too. And Hill with 29. For the Giants, Riccardi with 3-2. Kind of bobbed up out of nowhere, really. I was keeping half an eye on the game and half an eye on the stats as we went, and Riccardi was just kind of trucking along with nothing really for a while. Then suddenly, all of a sudden, he's got 3 goals too and leading the charge. So massive effort there. Toby Bedford, the man who nearly didn't play, it took that long for the tribunal and the appeals board to make a decision. 2 goals, 2 from him. Kelly with 2 goals, 1, and then led by Tom Green, who is an out and out star. With 35 disposals. Lockie Whitfield, who got off to a very slow start this year, but is back to his best with 31, and Lockie Ash with 31 disposals as well, in front of a 68,000 person crowd.
There you go, 68,465. Bang. Well done, Paul.
Just got to spot those little details in the bottom.
I'll let you keep going, but I thought the Saints were absolutely terrible. I know a lot of other people out there saying, look, they could hold their heads high. I just did not like the brand of footy they were bringing. They couldn't, like, their defensive, like their kind of slower structured game wasn't working for them. They had to adapt and try and play the way the Giants were, and it didn't work. And so by the end of the game, there was in fact a huge sound.
There's a big sound from the west of the town. It's the sound of the mighty Giants.
It's just the gift that keeps on giving is this the GWS big sound memes. I have been swimming in them for the last 24 hours. It's been awesome. I'm loving it. And that is absolutely one of the best, because it's one of the best clips on the internet, that guy in the first place. And so, that aside, I guess there's a football game to actually talk about. The Saints were never in it. Let's be honest. The Saints never looked even remotely close. They were down by 3 goals at quarter time. Toby Green blew it out early. Amazing opening effort there. But it was actually statistically GWS's the highest ever first quarter score at the MCG for the Giants.
Yeah.
To do it in the final, which is an awesome effort. And I guess it rolled on into the second quarter there, where the Giants ended up compiling 8 consecutive goals, which, this is a team that's absolutely just riding a wave of momentum at the moment. They continue to do so right into their first elimination final. 8 consecutive goals. Complete control. The Saints pegged it back a little bit later in the piece there. They got the first few, got the last couple in that first half, but the Giants still led by 23 points at halftime, and you just never really felt like the Saints were going to get close. The scores kind of fluctuated around that margin, 25 points at 3/4 time, and then the final margin of 24 at the end of the game. But really, the Saints just never looked like they were going to get close. They might have put on 1 or 2, and then the Giants would just get them straight back. It was a pretty lackluster performance from the Saints. The Giants did lead by as much as 43 points in that third quarter. and the Saints were scoreless for 20 points for 20 minutes. So it was not a fantastic effort by the Saints whatsoever. And look, they batted above their level most of the season. And so, look, they should be incredibly, obviously, proud of how they performed at the end of the day in terms of making it to the finals and finishing where they did. But Rossi got everything he possibly could out of that mob, and now it's back to the drawing board. Solid preseason, build a few of these young guys up. They need a few that are kind of in that 18 to 24, 25, 26 sort of spot in the list to really make some big strides forward in the off season. It can't be the likes of Matthias Filippo because he's 18. He's an absolute legend, but we cannot expect players like that to be making these sorts of jumps that early in their career. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but they might get there. I don't know. It's hard to make a solid call when it comes to Saints because everything seems to go wrong for that mob.
I didn't really like Filippo's game, but you got to remember he's 18. He's not even turned 19 yet, I don't think. So he was just invisible all night. But you're not going to see the best of him until he's like 22, 23 or something like that. So yeah, it's a long way to go. It's a long summer for the Saints. Very disappointing from them, unfortunately.
They were making up the numbers before the final started in the end. As horrible, as harsh as that sounds. And your votes, we've got 3 to Tom Green, clearly the best on ground. Josh Kelly with the 2, and Rowan Marshall for his incredible effort as a ruckman with the 1 vote.
Could have almost had a couple of votes for Rowan Marshall, but I just thought overall the GWS was just too strong all day long. So could not had to give the higher votes to Josh Kelly and Tom Green there. Really, just an awesome performance from them. And I'll give them a chance. They're up against Port Adelaide. Probably on Saturday night, I think 7:40. I think it is.
Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah.
So I if anyone's going to beat Port over there, GWS
it's the team who's won at every ground all year.
12 grounds, 12 venues they've won it. They're going to give it a red hot crack. Well, you think so? You always think it's going to be the case that the team that won the elimination final is going to make some noise, some big noise. But who knows? They probably just be 40 points to the power. Like it's the way these things go sometimes. Semi-final round, I hate semi-final round, actually. I'll bring the energy next week and all that, but I just don't find many upsets. I don't know. I have to go back to the history books. It doesn't feel like there's many upsets in semi-final week.
Whereas I'm feeling like, and we'll get to the Brisbane Port game in a sec, but I reckon we're looking at 2 straight sets exits this year.
Ooh.
And so that'll make things very interesting.
Ooh, okay. All right. So should we get into the final round, the final game of the first week of the finals, Paul? And let's hope that the graphic works on this one and we've got it all right. I did spend so long doing it, but clearly I missed it. So we've got the Brisbane Lions.
Nailed it.
There we go. Brisbane Lions versus Port Adelaide. Brisbane by 48 points. 19-9, 123 to 11-9, 75. Absolute domination, really. All pretty much after half time. Joey Danaher, incredible game from him. Just didn't over celebrate. Got his 5 goals won. Did what he needed to do. Cam Rayner was so dynamic. He was fantastic to watch. He was great to watch. Fletcher, fantastic son of. He was great as well. Young fella, really bobbed up with 3 goals there and just was really damaging all over the ground. A man I absolutely love, Hugh McCluggage, since he was, I don't remember he was being drafted and they were talking about him going early and he's like, McCluggage. I just love the way he's come on in the last few years. He's no nonsense, just doesn't muck around, just gets the job done. Dunkley, great pickup from them during the off-season just you. And WHILMOT as well with the 20 touches, Dunkley with the 21. On the other side of the coin, oh my Lord, Ollie Lord, future cat, can we say that?
Yeah, we'll claim him.
4 goals won. Didn't he look an impressive thing? I can't wait to get him down at the category. It won't happen, but I imagine they'll throw everything at him to keep him there.
Why not? Give it a crack.
Young fella proven in finals. They're hard to come by. 2 goals, 2 for Sam Pepper. Seems like a bloke that's built for finals. You wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. And 2 goals, 1 from Marshall, who was a bit wayward with his kicking, unfortunately. He had a bit like Bailey Fritsch, really. He's a dead-eye dick. Normally, he just couldn't hit it.
Early on.
Yeah, and in the disposals, Zachary Butters with the 29, Connor Rosé with the 28. The normal accumulators, but just didn't really seem to have any impact on the game, unfortunately.
Oh, look, we'll massive shout out, and I guess we may or may not touch on it through the notes, but Connor Rosie with one of the best goals of the season.
It wasn't
cranked around one leg, one step, roosted it from 55 plus, and made an absolute mockery of everyone in that particular moment. That was unreal, that goal.
Oh, it's just terrific. He's a gunner. My wife wants to get him at Geelong. I don't think that'll be a possibility, but maybe the last couple of years of his career or something like that when we're a basket case. But who knows? Brisbane came into this game cock a hoop. They're talking about how it's their time. You know, they've been the strugglers, not the strugglers, but they've just missed out.
Close.
So many times. And it's their own fault when they had a grand final up for grabs in 2020 during the COVID era, and they've lost to the Catters. What can you do? Almost a gift.
Got blown away by the Catters.
But yes, it's their time. Now is their time, and it was Charlie Cameron's 200th game, so everything was just going right for them, and they were up and about. The crowd was up and about. Good on Queensland for getting behind AFL footy. You could really sense that through the TV that they were into it. But yeah, like there wasn't really much. I didn't really write much notes on the first quarter there. Lockie Neal was really quiet in the first quarter.
Very quiet.
It didn't seem to matter too much. The lines were still up and about. I still wasn't sure which way this game was going to go at that point in time, but I was really enjoying the footy, the contest that was on the telly, as opposed to the game earlier in the day. I just felt like that was horrible to watch. And Charlie Cameron was really quiet too. He only had a couple of touches up until half time. I thought, what's going on with him? Is he even one of his stinkers? But and then Port Adelaide started getting on top and hit the front. I'm like, what is happening here? Surely Brisbane's not going to choke it, but that was just a short-term thing. And then the Lions really got it back on track in the second half, thanks to mainly to Joe Danaher, who bobbed up in the third quarter with 3 goals there, really tore it apart. And Charlie Cameron woke up and kicked a couple as well. Port came back a little bit, but ultimately you can only do it so many times, really. And then Brisbane kicked away again. And Fletcher, as we talked about earlier, bobbed up with a really nice goal, really important goal there. And then it all just fell apart in the fourth quarter for Port. They subbed the bloke off for strategic reasons, and then seconds later
lost 2 players immediately afterwards.
Two key defenders went down, so who knows what that means for them next week, how they're going to fill those spots. Trent McKenzie, Dylan Williams we're talking about. But yeah, Brisbane just surged again, and there was no coming back after that, really. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of. I would love to get Francis Evans. I think he's more of a forward though. You'd love to get him back in the side, but I don't think we'll see Sparkle. I don't know about Sparkle, but we'll see. I'd probably
don't like his chances.
Nah, but Francis Evans, he's looked good every time I've seen him, and not that I've seen that many Port games this year. Port Adelaide, unfortunately they're going to have a second chance up against GWS, and as I said a bit earlier, it's going to be a tough one for them. I don't know how they're going to go. I think if anyone's going to beat Port, GWS could be that team to get it done. Brisbane, I think they're pretty strong favourites to get the job done in a fortnight's time and make a grand final for the first time in 20 years. I think, maybe 19 years. I think they last won it 20 years ago. They played the 2004 final against Port. And just fell short in that one after Port kicked away there. But yeah, like a few other teams, Paul, this round, bad kicking's bad football, and Port, unfortunately, just couldn't find the target enough. And while they might have, had it kicked a little bit straighter there, they could have put a bit more scoreboard pressure on the Lions and maybe a slightly different story, or given themselves a sniff anyway. But as I said as well, Ollie Lord, oh my goodness me, I love that bloke. I want him. Can we get him? Part of the Radical thing.
It's a weird one. I did not rate him in the slightest, and then he put in that game, and I've gone, hang on, I might need to pay attention to this bloke.
Yeah. Surely that's a fair swap, straight swap for Radical Air. Surely.
Yeah, he's got no credits in the bank whatsoever at this point. So
that's exactly right. I think it's pretty reasonable.
Surely they bundle like we give them a Sava and they give us Ollie Lord and a future first round pick. No questions asked.
None, not at all. Now, my votes, just as we round out this review, my votes for this one's pretty obvious. I'm going to give it 3 votes too. I think Joe Danaher was just terrific.
Dirty Mojo.
He did the job. Well done to him. Fantastic. I thought Hugh McCluggage was really good as well. Gave him the 2 votes. And Cam Rayner, maybe I could have given him the 2 votes, but didn't get heaps of it. But when he did, goodness me.
He was absolutely taking the P155 out of the power on numerous occasions.
Yeah. I think he had one shot close to the boundary. If you had to kick that, I'd almost be giving him the 3 votes. He was that impactful on the night. So as we've said, Port Adelaide lost the game. They're up against GWS on Saturday night at Adelaide Oval. And Brisbane will just have to wait and see who they play. They'll be either playing Carlton or Melbourne up against that one, which will bring me. Let's have a look. I'll just bring up my new graphic here. Little matchup of the next round. Yeah, look at that fancy. Oh, look at that's beautiful, isn't it? So Port Adelaide versus Giants. Paul, who's winning this one in your mind? Early days, but who've you got?
I'm going big sound. I'm all on board the Giants bandwagon at the moment. Yeah, it's just jump on them. But at the same time, like the Power are vulnerable now. Like they've lost a few key defenders. The form was still a little bit patchy going into the back end of the season. Obviously, with their loss against us and some other performances that were less than inspiring. They were on a losing streak there for a while. I'm not all about the Power at the moment. And the Giants, the momentum just keeps going. They're going to be afraid of no one at this point. They're winning everywhere they play.
Yep.
So why not?
Why not indeed?
It smells of a why not us sort of situation here.
What about the next game now? Hopefully this graphic. Oh, look at this beautiful graphic. Melbourne versus Carlton. This is going to absolutely tear the town of Melbourne apart on Friday night. It is going to blow the town up. And I hope it is one of those all-timer games, Paul. I think I am actually going to... Poor old Melbourne. I feel like they're going out in straight sets 2 years in a row. Who's your tip for this game, Paul?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm going for the elimination finalists in both games. So
wow. Oh god, poor old Melbourne. Hey, I don't know if I don't think I'll be going to the footy. I don't think it'd be impossible to get to the Melbourne games anyway. If there was like a GWS or playing something in Melbourne, you might be able to get to one. But I'll be watching it on the telly, I suppose. Both games are of an evening, so plenty of time to do other things through the weekend. Any other Geelong news? I don't think there's been too much. We can probably wrap this show up in a sec, but no other Geelong news apart from the Radicalia stuff. Which
we've had the Radicalia stuff, which I did a short for on the channel, and other than that, it's been pretty quiet. I'll just double check that there's not something I'm forgetting, but no, it's been mostly pretty quiet on the men's front. Obviously, we've touched on the women's game today, and if people haven't checked out that video, please make sure to go check out our match review there of round 2 for the AFLW girls team. But in terms of the men's, it's been pretty quiet, I think. The Radicalia stuff, and that's about all she wrote.
I've seen something, and it's yet to be confirmed, but it was quite concerning, Paul. I saw a photo of Mark Blitzarves with a hat on the back of a camel. I don't know where he was, but it looked like he didn't have much hair on his head. Yes, he had a hat on. That's why I'm a little bit not sure. I hope he hasn't gone down the path of Cam Guthrie. I'm telling you now.
Where did you see this?
I was on... I think it was a partner of one of the Cats players who had a photo of Blitz, and I'm going to have to send it to you after the show. But I am, you know me, I've got a thing about hair. It don't cut your hair off. If it's long,
you lose all your powers.
You lose your powers. It's a proven fact. It's science. So keep the hair long, keep it strong. Stay Geelong strong. That's what we say, don't we? Mate. It's been another great show, Paul. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in, and thank you for everyone who's watching on the replay as well. It's been fun. We'll be back next week as well to review the 2 semi-finals and obviously the Cats' big win over the North Melbourne when we win against North. I'm already predicting a big win there. So hopefully,
that is a brave call. That is
a brave call.
I know our girls are good, but so are those Drews. So
Cats by 40 in the AFLW. You heard it here now. It's not like trouncing with the ladder leaders at home. We're just going to stamp our authority, and here we come. But it's been a tough couple of weeks, Paul. We'll wrap the show up, but it's hard when we haven't got as much Geelong content to talk about. But I still love AFL finals. And
it's a confusing period for us.
Yeah, and you just don't know what to do. So hopefully, if you're like us, stick with us. There's plenty of footy to talk about at least, and we're here to support you through this tough time. So, Paul, thank you again. We're going to play the outro. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and comment down below. We want to hear your thoughts on the show and what you think, how you think the finals are going to play it, and all that. But until next time, go Cats. We'll see you on the next one. See you, everyone.
See you guys.